There for the third race of the ERL Elite MegaDriver86 series. We're here tonight under the lights at the Richmond International Raceway. Seth Cole back for a second week with Samuel Dyer in the booth. And Sam, we ended up having only 5 cautions, 53-minute race at Lucas Oil. And then last week at Pocono, 11 cautions, 2 hours in length, and 5 of those 11 cautions were overtime green-white checkers. What do you think we're going to see here tonight now coming off a race like that?
I mean, you'd think that you wouldn't have as many cautions at Pocono, but we just had so many green-white checkers that there's so many cautions. I feel like this race, we might not see 11 this time around, just because we saw them being a lot more cautious at a short race, like Lucas Oil in week 1, and we'll see how they do this time around.
Lucas Oil, we ran 120 laps. We're running 120 laps tonight. Originally, it was going to be 2 60-lap events, but they decided to just combine the two and have it be one full 120-lap race. 2 different winners in the first 2 races. Tyler Riggs winning at Lucas Oil, and then last week, a kind of from out of nowhere win for Kendall Noah Player. And both of them, as a consequence, come into this race first and second in the points. We'll give you your points in just a moment, as drivers are currently on track laying down qualifying laps. And you alluded to this earlier. Talked about last week, looked like the drivers we're going to be highlighting here tonight as well, as far as the ones that have speed.
Yeah, I mean, last race we saw Jeremy Yancey being quick during practice qualifying and during the race, and he's being quick here at Richmond as well.
As the point standings coming into this one, it's actually really, really close amongst the top 12, actually the top 13. You got Tyler Riggs, 1 point in hand over Kendall Noah Player, obviously with those two being the 2 previous winners this season. Ethan Burrell currently sits in a tie for third, 5 points back, along with Chad Frankenfield, who had a very up and down day last week at Pocono. Justin Krasinski, who spent a good portion of that Pocono race out in front, he's 5th in points, 6 points out. 3-way tie for 6th. You've got Rishav Khosla, Tate Lytle, and Joshua Personette, who had a top 10 run last week. They're all tied for 6th. 3-way tie for 9th between Joshua Clark, Andrew Rucker, and Matthew Weeks. And then you've got a 2-way tie for 12th between Peter Hayward and Levi Zelensky. So definitely here tonight, you would think at a short track where everybody's going to be in very close proximity to each other. I think it looked like at least the top 15 were about half a second off each other in terms of lap times in practice. This is definitely going to be one of those races where you can gain a lot or lose a lot of positions as far as the overall standings go.
Yeah, and I'm also really interested to see if any drivers are just going to pull away from the field. Last week, we really didn't see that. The draft was keeping everyone pretty close, so we didn't see anyone just pull away and look dominant all race. And I'm interested to see if anyone's going to take that dominancy here.
Also have the evening time here at Richmond, which is very similar conditions to what we had at Lucas Oil for the season opener. So you'd think there's going to be a little bit more grip for these drivers to work with, but we saw quite a number of drivers spinning over in turn 3. A lot of drivers having issues in the middle of turns 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see just how aggressive they'll be early on, if they'll maybe kind of ride around, wait for the tires to heat up, wait for the grip to come to them before they start making moves.
Yeah, speaking of the grip, I mean, what lanes do you think we're going to see throughout this race?
Everybody that I've been noticing for the most part has been hugging the bottom, but I kind of feel you've got to try that middle line at least if you're going to try and make passes. Otherwise, everybody's just going to be riding around in a single file train, and the only way you'll be able to make a pass on someone is if you move them out of the way. So I think we will see some drivers move up to that second groove. If they lay down some rubber, then maybe later on we'll see that middle lane come into play with drivers trying to make passes late. But I think at least early on, everyone's going to be fighting for the bottom, trying to get those left sides down that yellow line.
So far, qualifying laps are still being put down, but in the lead right now, getting the pole position at the moment, is Jeremy Yancey, and then second, it's Chad Frankenfield. These 2 have both been the 2 fastest from qualifying and practice so far here at Richmond.
Definitely have. Both of them actually were kind of playing second fiddle to the 12 car of Damian Leniger. He was actually top of the board for a good portion of practice, and then it was in like the last 5-10 minutes that Yancey and Frankenfield leapfrogged him up to positions 1 and 2. And if Yancey, who currently is on point to win the pole, does close out the deal, he would be the first multi-time pole sitter on the season, and it looks like that is indeed going to be the case.
field is now starting to grid. 120 laps. This is going to be, it might be a quick race. It could be a long one, just based on how many cautions we're going to see tonight. Hopefully we don't see too many.
Well, one thing that I noticed is we ended up having 28 drivers take the green back at Lucas Oil. We have now reached the biggest field so far this season. Last week with 30 drivers, 31 will be taking the green here tonight. So a bigger field, more chances for mistakes. We're going to have to wait and see. It was only 5 caution flags at Lucas Oil. So maybe being a short track, maybe not being quite as fast a racetrack as we were at last week at Pocono, where the draft may not come as much into play tonight as it did last week. We may see some cleaner racing, but obviously we're going to have to wait and see about that, as we're still waiting for the rest of the cars to grid here. Another interesting thing I think we're going to have to keep an eye on is, last week we didn't really even mention Kendall Noah player's name until the very end. I've seen before at these short tracks where drivers will end up at road, and some drivers, they'll save if they're mid-pack or towards the rear of the field and maybe stay out a little bit longer. We could end up having a situation where a driver we don't talk about all night long could be up there inside the top 5, top 3, maybe out in front with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, also we got to watch out for the first caution. If it's early, we might see some people trying some two-tire strategies. We've seen that in the past 2 races where someone's trying different strategies. Last week it was Chad Frankenfield who first tried it, and we'll see if anyone's going to try to see if 2 tires works.
Kind of wonder as well, we mentioned the fact that this race is 120 laps. Lucas Oil was 120 laps, and you remember there were a couple of drivers in the closing stages of that Lucas Oil race that were pretty close on fuel. A couple of drivers actually had to pit with a couple of laps to go. So if we do manage to get into some long green flag runs like we did at the season opener, fuel could possibly be an issue here at Richmond.
Fuel strategy races are fun to watch because you got to watch to see if who's up front, who's going to try to be saving fuel, or if you're going to be just pushing it throughout the entire race.
We're just going to make a little disclaimer here early on. The 9 car that you're going to see on field is not the 9. It is actually the 13 of Vincent Isabella. For some reason, Trading Paints decided not to load in the correct scheme, and so just giving that little forewarning that the 9 car is not the actual paint scheme that the 13 is driving. What do you think? Track position going to be the important thing here? These guys up front going to be the ones to watch? Or do you think that we're going to see drivers at the middle of the pack? Because there were a couple of drivers starting mid-pack that had some pretty good lap times in practice. Do you think they're going to be able to work their way up here early on?
I think Tyler Riggs is starting in the middle. He's someone to watch out for. He's always someone who likes to drive up through the field and gets up to the front. In the first race, he got up to the front, took the lead, and never looked back. We'll see if he's come through the field this time around with that front.
The driver I'll be interested to watch is going to be the 2 car of Brandon Key. I was looking back through the statistics. Ironically enough, he's in the number 2 car. Back at Lucas Oil Raceway, the fastest lap that he put down was on lap 2. Last week at Pocono, fastest lap of the race, lap 2. We'll see what he does early on here as the green flag's out at Richmond.
Going into turn number 1, Jeremy Yancey's going to be taking the lead while we got a battle for second. It's Joshua Adams and Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield's going to be trying to take the lead, but Joshua Adams is not letting up.
Joshua Adams was actually really fast in practice as well, and he's one of a couple of drivers that are making their first starts of the season. A couple of names that we found different from the first 2 weeks that are racing here tonight at Richmond. Probably some short track specialists, even though this isn't a short track. It's a speedway, but it has short track characteristics.
So far, everyone's lining up, keeping it clean. The next battle we're seeing is for 5th. We got Jared Rexine and Ethan. Rexine's just dropping back.
Let the 56 of Tate Lytle by. You just saw Ethan Barrow make the pass, and now he's got Andrew Rucker in the 64 hunting him down. And just behind them, last week's winner, Kendall Noah player up there in the 8th position. To back victories here. Right now, it doesn't look like Yancey's really getting away because he's got a rear decklet full of that Exalta Chevrolet.
Everyone's keeping it clean up front. If you go back to the middle of the pack, everyone's still too wide.
Right side back there as you see this battle between Brandon Key and Tyler Riggs. That's for the 14th position. Actually, no, 13th place. Right behind them is Stephen Mago in the 83. We should mention as well that I think these guys are going to maybe be minding their P's and Q's a little bit more in this race, especially early on. Last week, yeah, we had 5 green-white checkered restarts at Pocono, and a couple of drivers, I think it was 4 in total, suffered some penalties. 3 of them were points penalties. And so I think that these drivers wanting to make sure that they're not going to suffer any points penalties here this evening.
Someone who wants to start moving up is going to be Chad Frankenfield, trying to make a move for second on Joshua Adams.
Get the inside advantage against him. We'll see. Oh, got a car that's facing the wrong way there on the apron of turn 2. And caution is going to wait for that. I think that might have been... I don't know if that was the 94 or not, but the 94 lost a lot of spots. I don't know, maybe the 94 may have brought out the caution. Maybe it wasn't that car on the apron that I saw.
Going back and looking to see.
This caution is going to come out on lap 7. If the leaders are going to pit here, I doubt any of the front runners are going to be coming to pit road this early on. And more the fool me, they are coming to pit road. Wow. Early takers here on this first yellow flag. So as they do that, brought out this yellow flag.
It looks like it was the 94 car. Got loose entering the corner and just couldn't save it easily enough.
We'll know a player, the defending winner from last week. Very gutsy call, older tires. Was able to hold them all off, and oh, yep. See what happened to him. Kind of running by himself, and just goes into a slide, and that car, oh, contact there with the 28. I can't tell who that car is down there on the apron, though. Tell if that might have possibly been the 72. Let's go back and see real quick. I think it was. It was Brent Wetz, if I'm correct. No, it wasn't him. Sure who it was.
Well, if we go up front, some cars are actually going to be staying out and not pitting. Joshua Personette is going to be your leader at the moment with Brandon Key.
And Joshua Personette had that great run last week.
Brandon Key last week, he was the reason of our first caution and just stuck with it all race. Finished, I think, 11th when he really shouldn't have been up there with how many cautions came out. It really helped him out, though.
I mean, he clobbered the inside wall there at Pocono, but still was able to soldier on. But like damage and all.
To the pits is Brandon Key.
And Personette finished 4th last week. I was trying to find out where he actually finished that race. If I recall correctly, he finished it facing 90 degrees the wrong way off the nose of or Krastensky. It was one of those two. It might have been Krastensky. I've run. And this is interesting because I think he is the only driver now that has not pitted. I believe the 88, the 15, the 51 all behind him, they have been to pit road. So he's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage as far as tires go.
Though, where a driver stayed out, got the points for leading the lap, and then just dipped off. But this also could be a strategy play of seeing how does no tires compare to fresher tires.
It's going to be interesting to see. First time tonight that we've seen Damian Leniger up there in the top 5. He was back, we saw earlier, battling around 13th, 14th position, cutting his way through the field, but he was fast in practice and just didn't get a good qualifying result. Now we'll see how he's able to stack up against the 15, the 88, the 51, because these guys were all around each other as far as lap times are concerned in the practice session. Going to have 7 cars, B29. They'll be coming down and taking the green flag for this restart. A couple of drivers did not take the green flag.
We're going to go green here with Joshua Personette taking the lead.
Remember, he's not at that much of a disadvantage. He's only got 7 lap older tires than these guys behind him. Oh, into the wall, the 88! And they saved
it a little bit. Got into the 88, the 88 got slammed into the wall.
Down the apron. That's the 83 of Stephen McGough, but I think they all managed to save it. We're still green, but man, that was a close call because everyone got stacked up there.
That is a huge hit for the 88, and he's still falling back.
For the lead, here comes Frankenfield with a crossover to the inside going into 3. You'd have to think that even though there's 7 laps difference between the tires, the fresher tires are going to have the advantage for Frankenfield. Here, Personette for the lead going into turn 1. Indeed he does. Now it's going to be up to Yancey to try and catch up as he'll try and take second place away.
I think we really got to watch Personette and see how far he drops back with these older tires. If he's able to hold on in the top 5, or if he's just going to continue dropping back.
Dropping back, Joshua Adams has fallen back to the 12th spot. That's where he's been able to slot in after the issues that we saw him have early on. Another driver that lost a couple of positions because of that was the 56 of Tate Lytle. A shoot down towards the apron, but he was able to save it. He's still riding currently in the 7th position. A Personette. This will be interesting for Personette to see how far he falls back before he's able to slot in, because obviously some of these guys that are passing him were faster than him in practice anyway. They've now got fresher tires, but as the run goes on, their tires are going to start to go away, and they'll probably even out.
Yeah, they're not going to even out for a while, and Personette's still falling back.
And Barrow going to get by. That was for 4th. Andrew Rucker starting to close in, and then quite a gap from him back to the 56 of
caution.
Tate Lytle. It's caution, flags out. Time tonight. It's time on lap 18, coming to 19.
Looks like it might have been a pretty car.
Probably see Personette on pit road this time, I would think.
Probably, so he doesn't keep falling back. I think it was a good testing run for him to see how
I think it was too.
His tires are going to fare, which is going up against 7-year-old tires and pressure.
Need him some track position, because looks like all the leaders are going to come to pit road yet again here under this. I guess they're figuring you can. That way you can go further if we get into a long green flag run. Before you'd have to hit pit road. It was the 40 that brought out the yellow flag. He's actually just now leaving pit road. Chris Young.
Let's see how many cars are planning on staying out, if any.
Chris Young, I don't know if we're going to be able to get a real clear look at what happened to him, because he was having some connection problems at the time that he spun. Able to show the very tail end of it. It was over in turns 1 and 2, it looks like. See the very tail end of his spin right there as he's down on the apron of 1 and 2. So that he had, we weren't able to show the full spin, but I think you are correct. I think he was indeed the reason the caution came out. So 2 cautions so far, both of them for solo car incidents. That's at least a good thing. Last week we saw a lot of multi-car wrecks at Pocono.
A lot of multi-car wrecks, but this time around we're seeing a lot of people risking it, trying with no tires. We'll see if any of these cars that are staying out so far and go pits, what they're really going to do a percent and try to stay out there.
A number of them are coming to pit road here. I think this is going to 15 cars back on pit road, I believe. Frankenfield.
I believe that was the 73 of Michael Goodman that went in.
You're right, yep. Right now, your race leader would be the 3 of Scott Haney. Joshua Clark there in the 28. A 7th place run last week at Pocono. Would line up in 2nd. And then the first of the cars off pit road, Frankenfield would line up 3rd with Yancey and Leniger. And I don't think these guys are going to pit. I think they may have seen what the 7 car was able to do. Personette at this point in time would be restarting in the 6th position. So I think that the timing of that caution definitely helped him. He didn't drop that many positions after staying out under the last caution. I think these guys are noticing this, and I think that some other drivers will take notice as we get into the closing stages if we get a late race yellow as well, on the fact that, yeah, you do lose some positions, but if you've got a 15th place running car, you can get up there and only drop back to 7th in the finishing results. You'll take a 7th over 15th any day.
All right, the lights are out. We're going this time. Joshua Clark is someone I want to watch out for because last week at Pocono he was getting amazing starts, and that was helping him just gain so many positions. We'll see if he can continue those amazing starts here at Richmond.
Also saw last week that Chad Frankenfield, when he was back in mid-pack, had amazing 3-wide, 4-wide moves. Not really a whole lot of room for that here tonight, but how anxious is he going to be to get around the 3 and the 28 with his fresher tires? Green flag back in the air.
Joshua Clark got an amazing run, and he's going to keep it side by side with Scott Haney.
The run around the outside is the question. Draws even again off of 2. Here comes Frankenfield looking. Locked by the 3, though.
3 goes high, and there goes Frankenfield.
Car just overdrove that corner. Scott Haney. He completely missed his braking point, it looked like, and line where there's no grip. And he's fading back really quick. Oh, into the wall. For a moment there.
Looks like a 3-car incident.
Out. Yep. Feeling that may have been because of that stack up we saw with Haney and Rexing, too, as they were 3 wide off of turn 2. A couple of cars up there that were slow. The 86 Reasoner, I'm not sure what happened with him. I guess he was just down on the apron slowing down. I thought he looked like he was coming off pit road because he was so far down on the racetrack.
Joshua Personette looked like he was the real catalyst of that whole entire caution. He got loose, spun it around, and everyone just backed up behind him.
And Personette's got some pretty extensive damage to the rear, especially around the left rear quarter panel. And in that 3-wide situation, perhaps. Watch this in turns 1 and 2. We have Haney on the top side, and oh wow, his left front down there on the apron spun the car around a piece of it, as did the 13. You guys saw it was the 9, but it's not. It's the 13. Looks like the contact that took place between Rexing and Haney, they were able to keep it straight, keep it going.
I think the real thing.
Oh, go ahead.
These cars pitted, but I think I want to see how many cars stay clean throughout this race. I've seen a lot of cars bumping into each other. See who has the cleanest car at the end of this.
They've been very aggressive here, and definitely not a whole lot of give and take when a car gets way up the racetrack coming out of a corner. They've got someone right on their left rear quarter panel, and they almost get turned. All pitted, most of the leaders pitted under the first caution. They pitted under the second caution, but they're not coming to pit road here under the 3rd yellow flag. You wonder, these guys now going to maybe be in conserve mode, thinking possibly we could go green the rest of the way, or do they think they're probably just going to have to make one more pit stop anyway?
Probably one more pit stop, but I also think a lot of these guys are expecting another caution. With how many cautions we've been seeing, I mean, that's the second one. We're only coming to 30 laps.
Jared Rexing, I know, got a pretty good hit there when the three of Scott Haney bounced off the wall. He's actually towards the tail end of the field as he had an extended stay on pit road. There we saw spin out. He's back there around the 27th position. Personette, who brought out the latest cautions, back there as well. Towards the front, talked about some drivers that we haven't seen yet this season. We saw the 88 of Adams up here earlier. Another driver that's going to be restarting back in the 10th position, David Tooker. Now, this is his second start of the season, but we didn't see a whole lot of him last week at Pocono. Finished out of the race in 19th, but having a decent outing, at least right now, in that Toyota Camry.
Someone else is moving up is going to be Tyler Riggs. He's up 7th.
See Delco number 26. Didn't talk a whole lot about him last week. He ran consistently in the top 10 for the most part, but really never got up there into the top 5. And then at the last minute, was able to battle his way up into a top 5 finishing result. The green flag back in the air.
Frankenfield is not waiting for anyone and just takes off. He just took off like a cannon.
I think he's got something to prove for last week. He was one of the top 3 fastest drivers in that Pocono race. But just things did not seem to fall in his favor. He'd end up getting penalties and starts back. Cautioned out again.
Well, all these guys
yellow flag.
Pit, but I guess they can pit now.
Yeah, exactly. And this one may have been the 54 of Rizev Kosla, but I'm not sure. Back and take a look.
It looks like the 44 lost it, got into Koslov.
Charles L. Sears in the 44. Back rear of the field as well. It was almost 3 wide. Oh, 44 got a little help.
Yeah,
got a bump from behind by Richard Hines in the 87, and that sent him up into Slaw. One thing about Richmond, everybody has different braking zones. And you just have to be aware of the driver's braking zone ahead of you, or else something like that happens. Looks like the 44 got on the brakes a little bit sooner. Ready for that. Got him in the left rear, and you guys saw the end result. I have a feeling we're going to see, in the later portions of this race, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're only a quarter of the way through the race. There's so much racing to go.
Frankenfield and company did not pit again this time. Think here on pit road, one of our front runners. Yeah, the car is no longer there. I don't think. Oh no, he is. Never mind. Damian Leniger. Andrew Rucker, third. Joshua Clark, still staying out there. The older tires. These cautions have been a real blessing for him because every lap under caution that he runs in the top 5 is one less lap he has to defend against the guys on fresher tires behind him. That's Ethan Burl in 5th, Tyler Riggs in 6th. Daniel Martinez in the 38. And a decent outing in 7th. Logan Simmons is currently in 8th. Dallas Myhand in 9th, and David Tooker currently completes your top 10. One driver that kind of faded back. He actually did pit. I think I am correct. Jeremy Yancey, I think, pitted under this caution.
He did.
Oh, this will be interesting.
Try going in for the pits, get fresh tires, see how they go through the field. But we have to have a green flag run for that to really work out.
Exactly. It's exactly what we need to have. And we, as you said, are working our fourth caution under the first 25% of this race.
I mean, with how old everyone else's tires are, if we go for a long green flag run, Yancey is in prime position to just pass everyone.
The one thing I'd be worried about if I were him, and we saw this back at Lucas Oil in the season opener, a lot of drivers that had really strong cars. You go back and think about Brady Clark, started on the pole. He got caught with a speeding penalty of some kind, had to start at the rear, and then found himself involved in 3 of those 5 cautions. So you're taking a risk if you're Yancey. Yeah, you've got those fresh tires, but you're also back in traffic and you're around where some of the tightest racing is going to be and could end up being an innocent victim in something that takes place not of your making.
That's the risk you guys take. I mean, some of these guys up here are risking it by staying on these older tires. You got people that are trying to make plays in the back. Chad Frankenfield not waiting any time, taking off again. Right when the pace car pulls off, he just hits the throttle.
He has been really good the last 2 restarts, opening up the gap. The battle's going to be behind him for second. That's over quickly. Andrew Rucker's going to take the spot, as now Leneker falls back into the clutches of the 37 of Ethan Burrell.
Battles all over the place. We have a lap car in front of us. We'll see if they get out of the way or not.
Scored right now, it looks like we've got 27 cars currently on the lead lap. There's a couple of cars down at the bottom of my ticker that keep flashing in and out, so I can't tell if they're on the lead lap or not. Battle for second. Boy, Ethan Burrell's on the charge. He's gotten from 5th now to 2nd place in a matter of 3 laps.
Burrell was being quick in practice and qualifying. I mean, he's moving up quick. We'll see if he can get to the leader of Chad Frankenfield.
And then you had a pass for 5th. Tyler Riggs just got around Joshua Clark. Clark trying to hang on those older tires, and Burrell has not yet quite cleared Rucker. Rucker is hanging tough on that outside line. Looks like he'll have him cleared now in turns 1 and 2 as he sets his sight on the race leader, Chad Frankenfield.
Yancey,
the field can get somewhat spread out. We could get into a long green flag run.
Yeah, Yancey right now is in the middle of the back pack. He's trying to get through. He's doing a decent job at it.
Restarted back around the 22nd position. You see him making a pass there for 12th. A few weeks. A lot of cars still up ahead of him, though, as he's putting down some good lap times for being in traffic, though. Getting around the 7 of Personnet. He's got Ethan Reasoner just up ahead of him as well. And one thing I'm noticing, the interval between 1st and 2nd is starting to shrink.
Ethan Burrell was able to get past Rucker and has just been catching Frankenfield, clawing at every second.
Last time by, he gained about, I think it was 0.6 of a second. And you can see right there, about maybe 2.5 car length separation between those two. Frankenfield's going to have company in the next 2 to 3 laps, I would say. The season opener where Tyler Riggs dominated that race. Perhaps last week did not go on to win. That was Justin Krasneski, led 45 of the 84 laps, but he finished in 5th. I believe Frankenfield has led the most laps up to this point, but Ethan Burrow would like to keep the statistic going where the driver that leads the most laps does not win the race.
Caution out.
Is out.
And also Rucker spins right after the caution was called. I think he saved it, didn't hit the wall.
Back to the 6th position as a result, but as you can see, still going. And this one very well have been the 75 of Logan Simmons, because he was running up inside the top 15, and now he's back towards the rear of the field.
Might be Logan Simmons has a lot of damage on his rear right.
No, guess it wasn't him. We could find who it was. Oh, there it was. Oh, there was a stack up off of turn 2. Started, I think, with the 8 car of Peter Hayward. I'm not really sure what happened there. Everybody just started running over each other, it looked like. Was going into turn 1. Watch the 8 and the 10 of Jared Rexing just behind him. There. I think the 8 checked up for the 86, and then he just got ran over by Jared Rexing as well as the 58. And that's what brought the yellow flag out. I couldn't tell if the 8 car slammed on the brakes or if he just lifted, but it looked like he almost came to a dead stop as he was trying to not run over the 86 of Reasoner.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
What
when
brought the yellow flag out?
People want to slow up, and some people try to just full throttle it through. But if we look up front, all the leaders actually have gone into the pits. They're not going to go risk it with not pitting this time around after the last 2 cautions.
No wonder, with us more than likely going back green with less than 70 laps to go, we're getting closer and closer to these drivers being able to probably make it in their fuel window. We're not really certain what that fuel window is. I'm trying to remember back the Lucas Oil race when the last time was that we went back green to kind of get a calculation in my head of how far they'd be able to go on a tank of fuel, but I don't exactly remember how long that last green flag run was. I think it was more than or less than 70 laps. So I would kind of think at this point they are still not in the fuel window to make it the rest of the way. But one thing that will definitely be interesting here is we saw before that caution flew, Ethan Burrow was closing in on Frankenfield. Now the two of them are going to be starting side by side on the front row. So 37 will be even closer, and we'll see if he'll be able to put up a fight for the lead against Frankenfield.
I'm expecting Frankenfield again, once the pace car drops down, him just to full throttle it. We'll see if anyone can keep up going into turn number 1. It's after turn 1 and 2. We'll see Ethan Burrow be able to catch him.
The one thing I would kind of be a little bit worried about, though, he's getting great restarts, and that's good. He's able to get an advantage over whoever's running in second place at the time, but then that leaves the bottom open for Ethan Burrow to then get down to the inside line, slide into second place, and begin starting to run him down again instead of getting trapped up the outside. So I think what he's hoping is the 12 car behind him of Damian Leniger also gets a good start, so that way the battle will be side by side for second, allowing Frankenfield to run away. And the pace car should be peeling off here. Back to the gas, and he's gone.
Chad Frankenfield again taking off, and Burrell's able to drop down as well. The top 4 are able to line up, but everyone back to 5th are 2x2.
Tyler Riggs side by side with Joshua Clark. Behind them, you've got the 41 of Dallas Mahan. M. Daniel Martinez, the 38 in there, is now Riggs is going to clear for 5th. Now in a fist fight with about 3, 4, 5 other drivers. 6th place on back.
Martinez is wanting to get that position from Joshua Clark, and they're still battling for it.
Then you've got the 19, David Tooker. And then behind him, so Tate Lytle, who we saw have some early damage when the 88 got in the wall. The 88 actually, I believe, is out of this race. I was kind of wondering if he'd be able to work his way back up through the field, but looks like he has called it a day. Which is a shame, because I honestly thought he might be a driver that we'd be seeing up there inside the top 5 all night long.
Yeah, he looked like a fast car, that 88 car was, but he had an incident with Chad Frankenfield that put him into the wall. But if we go up front, Ethan Burrell is making a move.
Wearing out the back bumper almost a little contact going there in the entry of 3. Hey, I'm there, and if these guys start racing each other, not too far back, you got Damian Leniger in the 12 car. He's watching, seeing what's going on, and he could maybe close in on these guys as well.
Leniger, and then he also got Tyler Riggs that is also stuck with Rucker.
Riggs, of course, with the win at Lucas Oil, so you have to think with this track, not exactly the same, but a little bit like Lucas Oil, that he was very excited to see what he was going to be able to do here, and he's up there inside of the... Now, I think what he's thinking about is one of two things. Either one, he'd love to be able to be the first multi-time winner on the season, or two, continue to extend his points lead over Kendall Noah Player. They came into this race separated by 1 point. Right now, Riggs is in that 4th spot. Kendall Noah Player is mired back in 19th.
Still long race. I think right now you're just thinking about holding clean, just running the laps until you get down to about a quarter of the way through the race.
Here comes a challenge. Ethan Burrell's going to get to the inside, and he's going to make the move. Down is Frankenfield as they'll carry this battle down the back straightaway.
Frankenfield might just give this up. Oh, they touched!
Oh, he got into him! And Ethan Burrell saves it!
Tyler Riggs
what a
gonna get by them.
Man! Field tried to help correct the 37, but you're right, as all that was going down, we're still green, and Damian Leniger now to the race lead.
Frankenfield tried to do a cross move, but Frankenfield and Burr are still on top of each other.
Tyler Riggs moves to 2nd because of that. Andrew Rucker into 3rd. And now Frankenfield and Burrell find themselves having to work their way back to the front again, and the two of them almost make contact yet again there in 1 and 2. 7's all that happy with the 15, although to Frankenfield's credit, he slowed up and it looked like he was actually trying to help keep the 37 car straight and not have him spin out.
Yeah, and it didn't look like it was that hard of a hit, so they both should be all right with aero.
The thing I'd be a little concerned about might be the rear tires of Ethan Burrell, as he was in a 4-wheel slide about midway through turn 3 and into turn 4, so tires might be a little bit more worn than these drivers now, but it doesn't look like that's hurt his pace at all.
Does not look like it. But Chad Frankenfield is getting challenged by Lightenlow.
The thing that we should point out as well is Damian Leniger. I think he was the only driver that really didn't lift. He drove through that, I should put in quotes, wreck.
Oh, he went
the race lead.
He went straight to the apron and did not care. He was like, I gotta get past these guys as quick as possible.
Because of that, because he didn't check up and everyone else did, he's got almost a 2nd lead between himself and Tyler Riggs right now. Although, as I'm looking at the interval, Tyler Riggs, little by little, he's chipping away at Leniger's race lead, so we could have another battle for the lead between 2 new players at the front. Whoa, goodness! Okay, I don't know if the 12 thought that Chris Young, the lap car, was going to go low or what, but he nearly ran him over.
Well, that 2nd lead he just had is all gone, and Tyler Riggs is right there.
Down from a full 2nd now to less than 4/10 between the 12 and the 26. And not too far behind them, Andrew Rucker has Ethan Burrell on his back bumper. Battle for 3rd beginning to brew.
Someone who's been slowly coming back, who is back all the way in the back with his pit stop to get fresh tires, is Jeremy Yancey. He's up to 9th now.
Is taking 8th place right now from Joshua Clark. He's about to get up there. He's about 3 positions away from Frankenfield. And so he is quickly moving his way up there, and he's been able to get a little bit of help too with the fact of all these things going on. Drivers checking up. Advantage and pick up spots. Battle for the leads on. Nose to tail, the 12 and the 26.
Past the halfway marker and things are heating up. Maybe being in the lead isn't the safest place with all these slides.
Very well could be the very fact, because one thing I've noticed is these drivers, they're not afraid to use the bumper, and if you're the car that's getting bumped, those rear tires, they don't hold to the ground. They slide around on you.
Gotta wait and see. When is Tyler Riggs gonna make the move? I'm guessing he's gonna make it in the next 2 or 3 laps.
Thing we also have to wonder about, we went back green with about 70 laps to go. Are these drivers good to go on fuel? Are they now just racing to the checkered flag, or are they having to keep an eye on their gauges? seeing if they've got enough fuel to make it to the end. Up here at the front, I don't think they're, at this point, concerned about fuel. They're trying to race for the top position. About it, too, that if Tyler Riggs can get to the front, that'll be some bonus points he'll get for leading a lap. That'll help him to continue to grow his points lead over a player heading into next week.
Tyler Riggs thinking about putting his bumper down there in turn number 1.
There! 12 tried to pinch him, but he had to give him room.
I mean, he's still right on top of him. We'll see if he's going to try to put his nose down there again in turn number 1.
A much better exit off of 4, getting better straightaway speed on the front straightaway, but you can see right there, 12 cars running about a half groove off that yellow line. That's actually a defensive line, so that way he can cut down to the inside in the center of the corner, taking away the inside line from the 26, but boy, Tyler Riggs is not going to be denied. He's going to pull alongside in the front stretch.
A huge run off of 4 in entry number 1. Let's see if he can get around him this time. They're clear. There he goes.
Around a slower machine coming back on the racetrack. Boy, 26 got a little loose there off of turn 2. That car stepped out of him for a brief moment, but now out in front. And I think he's going to want to put some distance between himself and the 12 because Ethan Burrell is continuing to close up the gap. He's got Andrew Rucker behind him, Chad Frankenfield right there as well, but they're not too far back from the top 2.
I mean, with all this battling, it makes sense that everyone would start to catch him.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place, you got Tate Lytle. They're all single file. In terms of lap times, as soon as I say that, we got a battle for 4th. Frankenfield to the inside of Rucker. At this point in time, Jeremy Yancey still in that 8th position. He's about maybe 4 or 5 car lengths back from this group, which is 4th back to 7th position. So in a few laps, if his fresh tires continue to help him with lap times, he could be up here fighting momentarily to get up into the top 5.
Longest green flag run, and that means we got lap traffic coming in. These guys are coming up to a couple of packs of 4. They got to be careful getting through all these couple lap cars.
The big field that we had here tonight is going to make it very interesting to see what would happen if they caught drivers in the tail end of the field. I believe that's the 5 up ahead. The Riggs will have to deal with. That is Alex Balance in the 5 machine. He'll move to the outside and let the 26 on by. Not going to put up a fight with him. Now Tyler Riggs seems to have his car pinned right down to the bottom. And Ethan Burrell, good grief. Got a heck of a run off turn 2 and nearly ran the 5 car over as a result. Had to quickly duck to the inside down the back straightaway.
Tyler Riggs is trying to pull away, but Ethan Burrell is catching 2nd place. I think once he gets past Damian Lenninger, he's got the speed for sure to catch Tyler Riggs.
So I'm looking at lap times right now. It's looking like Tyler Riggs and Ethan Burrell are both running very similar lap times. They're both running around the 21.8s, a couple of laps in the 21.9s, whereas Damian Lenninger, his lap times have already tapered into the 22-second mark. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to catch Lenninger for 2nd, but a little bit of help maybe from this traffic that Tyler Riggs is having to deal with if he's going to catch up and battle Riggs for the race lead. Haney's going to go a lap down. I should actually mention that the 88 of Joshua Adams actually is back out on track. He's 2 laps down to the leader. That just put Scott Haney down a 2nd lap. 6. And we are less than 40 laps to go. My gut says we're not going to go green the rest of the way, but then again, I thought that back at Lucas Oil, and we had a long green flag run at the end.
Yeah, I mean, battle for 4th. You just got 4 cars just on top of each other waiting to make moves.
If we go back to Jeremy Yancey in the 7th position. He just got around Andrew Rucker. One thing that we should document is when he came to pit road and everybody else did not, have a few more laps of fuel than everyone else would. So dependent on if these drivers cannot make it the rest of the way on fuel and they come to pit road, we'd have to kind of use that of just how far possibly Yancey would be able to go on fuel. If they came to pit road with maybe 7-8 laps to go, I would think he would probably try and stretch it to make it to the end, because
he's going for second.
He's going to, I think, get the spot. He's been much faster than Leniger has the last couple of laps. Leniger going to battle back on that outside line, though. Going on almost 2 seconds behind the leader, Tyler Riggs, despite Riggs having to deal with slower lap traffic. Here for second place, now sets his sights on the 26 car. Riggs just made a pass on, I believe that was the 72 of Brent Wetz. He's put Michael Goodman down a lap. Jared Rexing's gone a lap down. Thing that's helping Riggs out right now, all these cars that he's passing are race cars that Ethan Burrell's going to have to pass as well.
Exactly.
Here that no one is safe at Richmond. He may be out in front. You can see there is damage on the rear of the AC Delco back of Tyler Riggs, so even he out in front has been involved in something here tonight. Beating and banging that happens here at Richmond International. Interval back when the battle was going on for second was about 2 seconds. It's now been cut down to 1.5 seconds, so it looks like the lap traffic are doing a good job of getting out of Ethan Burrell's way, and he is slowly reeling that 25 car in. I believe when he passes the 72 up ahead of him, Brent Wetz, then there will be nothing ahead of him except the race leader, Tyler Riggs.
With that cross of the line, we've finally gone through 3/4 of this race. This is when things are about to get heating up.
It's where you're going to have more take than give, with drivers battling for position up here at the front. Keep an eye here at the lap times between the 26 and the 37. Looks like Burrell had a little bit of trouble getting around Brent Wetz, and that's going to cost him 3 seconds between himself and the 26 car, which, as you can see right there, just a little over the back straightaway, the distance between the top two.
Yeah, I mean, if we also look on the board, we've got some big movers from qualifying where they're running on the race right now. David Tucker, he's up to 5th right now, but started the race at 26th. We go all the way down to 9th. Vincent Isabella is also moving up 28th to 9th. I mean, 27th to 9th.
And that's starting at the rear of the field. If you have a good enough car and you keep yourself out of trouble, you can get yourself up there for a good run. Up to the front of the field. And the best battle on track right now is going on for the 3rd position. That's where you've got Tate Lytle side by side with Damian Leniger. David Tucker that you talked about earlier, he's right there. And just behind them, the 51 of Jeremy Yancey in that 6th spot. That's the first time tonight, at least to my knowledge, at least up for the front runners, that I've seen a driver be able to make a pass on the outside line. Tate Lytle. Leniger using the outside line. So that outside line, I guess enough people have run it. There's enough grip there now that it is usable as a passing lane.
Yeah, with all these lap cars that are trying to run higher and avoid everyone, it makes sense that grip will start to come in at some point.
Ian Leniger was up in 2nd. He's now fallen back to 4th. He was under fire from David Tucker, but I think Tucker just messed up turn 3. That opened up the door for Jeremy Yancey to battle him for 5th. Now Yancey, who's got the fresher tires of the drivers up at the front, is now into the top 5. And the lap distance, or the list distance as far as time is concerned, grow between the 26 and the 37. It's now 2.5 seconds, as you just saw Tyler Riggs, the 88 of Joshua L. Adams. About comers and goers, you talked about drivers that had started back and worked their way to the front. Well, a driver that started at the front and is faded back, that's Chad Frankenfield. He's now all the way back in the 13th position, so I don't know what exactly happened to him. I don't know if the tires are starting to go away or what, but apparently that car is not handling the way he likes, and he's about to drop out of the top 15.
Frankenfield might have gotten into wall somewhere, because look at the front of his car. He's missing his license.
Oh yeah, you're right. See right there, he might have run to the back of somebody. The damage on the front of that Menards machine. M is the 94, last week's winner, Kendall Noah Player. A couple of drivers that had solo car spins that brought out early yellow flags, bouncing back here. Currently up inside the top 15 in the 15th spot. And then, how about Joshua Personet? What a comeback for him. We saw him roll the dice, stay out, gain some track position after the first caution. And a wreck, spun out, battled back, and he's back up here in the top 10. So a nice comeback for him. And we had a pass for position up in the top 5. Jeremy Yancey continuing to charge to the front. He just passed Damian Leniger for 4th place.
Lytle and Yancey look like the two cars have been moving up front. Everyone else has been staying pretty stagnant, just staying in line.
At the lap times here, the fastest car on track last time by was Jeremy Yancey. About 2/100ths faster than race leader Tyler Riggs. Him is, laps are winding down. We are now to go in this one. So unless there is a question of whether these drivers can make it on fuel or not, I don't think Jeremy Yancey's got enough time to get up there to the 26.
Don't think so. The next battle we've got going on is for 6th. You got Tucker. It's actually for 5th. Tucker and Lenny are battling it out.
Tucker's going to take that spot as the 12 car continues to fall back, now outside of the top 5. Another good run for the 28 car there in the 7th position. Place run last week at Pocono, and as consequence comes into this race in a 3-way tie for 9th in the stands. He gained 10 spots in the points after his top 10 run last week, and looks like he'll continue to move up if he's able to remain where he currently is. Like the battle for the lead is not going to happen between Tyler Riggs and Ethan Burrell unless we get a late race caution, because the interval now is 3 seconds. Last time by now, 3.1 seconds, another 10th gain by the 26. The lap traffic has been very courteous of the race leaders, moving out of the way, and it has basically been Tyler Riggs just pulling away. And this is kind of having shades of Lucas Oil at the season opener, where as soon as he got out in that clean air, Tyler Riggs just laid down lap times and pulled away.
He just loves the fresh air, I guess.
Hits the line this time, 12 laps to go. He wants to see the flagman waving as the white. He does not want to see the yellow flag wave here in these final few laps at Richmond. But if they continue to battle, someone might make a mistake and trigger a late race yellow. They're double wide racing ahead of Tyler Riggs right there. It's like 3 cars in that battle. I think the other one might have been the 73. Single file now. That'll make it easier for Tyler Riggs to pass the both of them when he catches them. 37 of Ethan Burrell running in second place. Looks like he's got a pretty good advantage between himself and third, barring any mechanical issues or possible fuel. Finishing with a runner-up spot. Finished well. He's an opener at Lucas Oil to make the race last week. Comes into this one third in the point standings, 5 points out. So he won't gain points on Tyler Riggs, but he will, at least with where he's at, remain in the top 5 in the standings heading into next week. As a matter of fact, looking ahead to next week, road course racing, as we're going to be at Sebring. That's going to be a wild one. All the road course ringers are going to be looking forward to showing what they can do there.
Road course races means there could be a lot of spins.
And usually a lot of spins at road courses don't necessarily mean caution flags.
They got a battle for third.
Yancey back there. Oh, contact, and he's up and over! Goodness, Jeremy Yancey up and over. And I'm sorry, the sponsorship's there. I have to make the reference. He just got Stone Cold Stunnered. Oh my goodness.
Over yet.
No, it is not. You are right. We're going to get a restart with less than 10 to go. Looked like just an innocent battle for third place all of a sudden has catastrophic results. As the 51 went flipping and barrel rolling down the back straightaway, and I think he might be looking for someone. I think he might be looking for that 56.
They both were having great runs up front. They're battling for third. They just couldn't survive. There was just a couple of laps left.
Kind of hard to tell what happened live. We'll go back and see. Contact occurred between the two of them. But man, that is a tough break for both drivers who, as you said, they were en route to top 5 finishes here this evening. How this culminates. We're going to go back and watch them going into turn 1. See if we can find out what happens. Maybe something happened. I almost wonder if the 51 might have gotten loose on the inside. Let's see. Coming off of turn 2. I don't know if he thought he might be clear on Tate Lytle in the 56, because he kind of came up. At the same time, looked like the 56 came down a little, and they just crossed paths. Neither one were clear on the other.
Yeah,
difficult.
Over, for sure. They both thought they were clear, but they obviously were not.
Yeah. I mean, at least the camera angle we had, it was pretty clear that neither one was clear of the other. But then again, we're looking from a third-person standpoint. Amount of visibility when you're sitting there with the helmet on your head, looking at the different mirrors you've got there in the cockpit. But that is a tough, tough break for both of those drivers. The race ain't over yet, so Tyler Riggs, who looked like he might be home free, now he's going to have a bunch of hungry drivers behind him here with less than 5 laps to go, trying to take this race win away from him. Here's the question that probably we were not wanting to ask tonight, but we're going to ask it based off what happened last week. How many green-white checkers we getting tonight?
I mean, I'm totally down to see 5 again, but I don't think these drivers want to see 5 again.
Joshua Personette apparently decided to edgy there, moved his way up to second for this restart. So that will put the 37 of Ethan Burrell on the inside. So we'll have to see how good a restart he'll get, if he'll be able to stick with Tyler Riggs. David Tooker will line up on the outside of row 2 and 4th with Joshua Clark. Damian Leniger will be 6th. 7th, Vincent Isabella. 8th will be Tate Lytle. Don't know how significant the damage will be to his race car. He got squeezed up into the wall, but I don't think he got too much damage. Not nearly as much damage as Yancey did. Matthew Weeks will line up in 9th, and Dallas Myhand is going to complete the top 10. Somehow, some way, it looks like the 51 car is going to try to finish out this race. He's currently scored 2 laps down. as they've been repairing that race car, but looks like he'll try and at least finish the race out on the lead lap when he takes the checkered, I would assume.
I mean, we don't know if there's going to be another caution. We've seen the green flag runs that we just had. We've also seen where we only go maybe half a lap, and let's see how far we go this time as Tyler Riggs takes us to corner number 1.
And they make it back to the white flag here. We'll wait and
Clark
see.
goes a little sideways.
Some spots as a result. Ethan Burl slots to second. Tooker now to third as Personet falls back to fourth. Look at Burl thinking about trying the outside line through 3 and 4. Now cuts down to the inside into the back bumper of Tyler Riggs for the lead.
Ethan Burl get a little sideways. He saves it, but the 7 car's completely sideways in the grass. Multiple cars in the grass.
He was headed for that infield grass off of turn 4. That turns second place over to David Tooker. Let's see what he can do with Tyler Riggs now. Try to get to the back bumper. I don't think he's going to be able to get there.
Tyler Riggs.
Man, 2 for 3 to start out the season. And everybody behind him doing all they could to try and get to his back bumper. Ethan Burl, I think, gave him a bump into turn 3 before he got loose off turn 4. Prime challenger for that 26 car, but Tyler Riggs looked like he had this in the bag, and then he had to earn it in the final few laps, but he did, and he begins the season as the first 2-time winner, Elite MegaDriver86 series.
Tyler Riggs gets 2, but I think our second and third place, I mean, those 2 made a run throughout the whole entire race of Tucker and Isabella.
I agree, kind of a where did they come from kind of thing. Tucker spent most of this race in the 5th, 6th position. Isabella spent most of that last green flag run down around 8th, 9th place and was able to get a podium finish here tonight. And how about Kendall Noah Player? Kind of, again, another week of where did he come from. Spent most of the race outside the top 15, finishes in the 9th position. You saw earlier him giving some congratulations to Tyler Riggs there. And not only does Tyler Riggs get his second win on the season, but he's going to gain maximum points and continue to grow his points lead heading into next week's road course race at Sebring.
All right.
See if we can get some interviews here with our top 3 finishers. We'll have your finishing results from this race. Your screen. Great finish there here tonight at Richmond. Came down to at the end. And Tyler Riggs was able to hold them off. We've got our race winner here.
And he's coming in.
All right, Tyler, second time we're talking to you here in Victory Lane, but man, tonight you really had to earn it. What were you thinking when that late caution came out with you having almost a 4-second lead back to second place?
Man, you know how it is. Like, I don't want to see that caution. That being said, I was kind of prepared for it to happen. I'm kind of shocked it didn't happen sooner, just because of the looseness of the tires on that long of a run. I thought somebody was going to die eventually. So it's kind of one of those deals where, you know, obviously I'm hoping it doesn't come out, but when it does, I just have to be prepared to come up clutch in the situation, you know?
Absolutely amazing drive by you. And one thing that I was kind of noticing was the track configuration, the way drivers were kind of approaching it was very similar to Lucas Oil. Was that how you kind of approached it? Because we know you took the checkered flag there and you were dominant there. Was there any difference in this track between Richmond and Lucas Oil?
Yeah, there's things like you couldn't really jack down the brake bias compared to Lucas Oil, and you really the roll part of it. So Lucas Oil, you know, you could drive in, kind of let it roll, and then flirt with it, if you will, trying to get back on the gas to set yourself up off the corner. This wasn't one of those tracks in that scenario just because of how loose it was off, so you kind of had to be more patient and ease into it off the corner. That was really the only big difference.
You got anything for Tyler?
Tyler, what were your thoughts when you first saw Chad Frankenfield and Ethan Burl get into it in the lead, and you had to somehow get around those 2?
Yeah, the first immediate thought was make sure I don't get swooped up in the impending wreck there, and then the second thought I was like, holy crap, how they not wreck? And then once me and Damien kind of broke through there, I was like, and no offense to Damien because he's fast, I knew I kind of had the speed on him because I was just catching him on the long run. I was really confident in my long run tonight. Couldn't get the short run down for nothing. I mean, that's why I qualified 17th, even though I should have qualified higher. Just couldn't get a clean lap down for a qualifying run, but now at that point, that's where the focus fills in and just, give or take what the race gives you.
Yeah, that
We
was an
obviously
amazing run.
we obviously know that you're good at the short tracks with taking the checkered flag at Lucas Oil. We know you're good at the shorter flag here tonight. You had a top 5 run at the bigger speedway of Pocono last week. We're heading into a road course at Sebring next week. How good are you there?
I'll probably be crap at the beginning of the week, and I'll try to work myself into a spot where I'm a top 10. That being said, with how the drop works, I'm not super worried. If I finish 11th or 12th or whatever, it'll just drop off, and eventually it'll kind of be a decent finish for down the road. But I always strive to be the best I can on any course. So if I can bring home a top 10 at Sebring, that'd be a good day.
With today's win, you're definitely going to gain maximum points. You're going to continue to grow your points lead heading into the road course, which will give you a nice little cushion there to be able to kind of get used to how Sebring works there and maybe come away with a decent finish there. Maybe a win. Maybe we'll talk to you again next week. But let's give you the opportunity. Anybody that you want to thank?
Oh man, as always with the PRM guys, we're a tight knit group. So no matter kind of where we all finish, we try to look out for each other the best. And other than that, I mean, thank you guys as always for bringing the broadcast.
All right. Well, thank you very much too, and thank you for an exciting finish there too. Congrats on your second win of the season.
Thank you, sirs.
We're going to be bringing in second place, David Tooker.
All right. So David, last week we didn't really get to see a whole lot out of you. Got a early DNF at Pocono, but man, tonight you were definitely one of the front runners. Spent most of the evening up there inside the top 5, top 6. And then doors started opening for you. You worked your way up there to second. Was there anything you could have done with the 26 car on that final lap?
If I just had a few more laps, I probably could have got him. But yeah, like you said, we stayed up front all race. It was more of a mental kind of thing versus a physical strength. Tires definitely paid dividends towards the end, so I'm just glad I could finally get a promising finishing spot and show that I deserve to be here.
You definitely had a fast race car. You didn't exactly have the best of qualifying results, so how difficult was it to slice and dice your way up through the field?
It's a mental game when it comes to coming through the pack like that. It's mostly just trying to keep yourself out of trouble, and then as soon as the run starts going on, green flag starts rolling, then you can really start to work your way up through the field because everyone's tires is falling off. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Emil, you got anything?
Not at this moment, but great race by Tucker. That was amazing to watch, man. I honestly, seeing you in the top 5 when you started so far back in the pack, it was good to see you running up front.
Yep, that was a very good race for me. Finally, I finished where I would expect myself to finish, but just like to thank Ethan Burrell for bringing me up on the team and giving me this shot and opportunity to run with these guys. It's a great atmosphere to run with these guys.
All right. Well, congrats on your second place finish, and we look forward to seeing what you bring to the table next week at Sebring.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're going to be bringing in our third place, Vincent Isabella.
All right, Vincent, third place run. You gave me an identity crisis here tonight because for some reason your car was loading into the 9 instead of the 13, but
it's
still
a shame.
great. Yeah, but still, hey, the 9 cars paint scheme was cool looking too. But anyway,
Yeah.
Congrats on your third place finish. I mean, it kind of looked like there in the closing stages, a lot of doors opened up for you because you were back there around 7th, 8th place. All of a sudden, we see you up there in the podium. I mean, describe what was going on for you on those final few laps.
I mean, it was nuts. I was just trying to stay clean. I mean, I was involved in 2 earlier wrecks and was lucky enough to keep from getting major damage. So it was good. It was good to not get taken out. Got taken out towards the end of the last race. So hanging in there.
this is definitely going to help you in the point standings too here. So probably jump you up into the top 10 in the point standings. One thing that we noticed was that you started about mid-pack in this race, and we were talking to David Tooker before because he started back around the same area. So from your perspective, how easy was it to pass, to be able to make passes and work your way up to the front of the field?
It really wasn't easy at all. It was all about throttle control today and saving your tires. That long run we had there, people were up front. They were just running the tires off the cars, and towards the end there, they were just sliding up the track, making it easier to pass. But it was definitely hard coming from 26th, 27th, wherever I started.
No?
Vincent, what were you thinking when that final caution came out and you had an opportunity to go through the rest of the pack?
It was, I mean, I was glad that we could get some tires because Josh Personette was just pulling away from us. I was content with running 9th, 8th, whatever we were, but those guys opened some doors there at the end and just made the car fit.
Definitely a great run for you here tonight with a podium finish of 3rd place. Let's give you the opportunity. Anybody you want to shout out or thank here this evening?
Yeah, just well, it's a shame that my normal sponsor on the car, we don't know what happened. Tom the Modify guy, he go follow him on Instagram. He and Fenceline, he has Fenceline Films on YouTube. He does the tour mods. He does GoPro videos and stuff for them. So his latest video was Patrick Emmerling. So definitely worth a shout out to him.
All right, so first top 5 of the season. Next week we're heading into the first road course stop at Sebring. What's the mindset going into that one, trying to carry the momentum of what you had with your finish here tonight at Richmond?
Keep the car clean. It's just going to be keep it clean. Try to finish in the top 10, top 15. I'm not good on road courses, so just keep the momentum rolling here.
All right, well, congrats this evening on your 3rd place run. Look forward to being able to talk to you in the future, and go enjoy your best finish of the season so far.
Thank you, fellas. Have a good one.
Well, that's race number 3 down, and Tyler Riggs with the 2nd win of the race, 2nd win of the season. We're going to a road course next week. Seth, are you ready for that?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. These drivers have had to deal with every type of racetrack, it seems, up to this point, so it only seems fair that a road course is next on the schedule. But I'm not that familiar with Sebring. I've seen a couple of races run at it, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience for me as well as what it sounded like for these drivers as well. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like the general consensus is just keep the car clean, keep the car on the racetrack. And so we'll see if the driver's going to be able to do that next week. And as I stated too, drivers that maybe struggle at short tracks, maybe struggle at the speedways, but are really good at the road courses, this is going to be their time to shine, going to be their opportunity to get up to the front and be able to gain spots in the point standings as well. We may end up not talking as much about the drivers we've been talking about the first 3 weeks. Some new faces may jump up at the front of the field. So I'm really excited going to a different track with a different configuration and seeing what kind of racing we're going to have brought to the table there.
Again, congratulations to Tyler Riggs. This has been one heck of a ride. Another green-white checker to see. Congratulations. We'll see you guys on the next one.